It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Hey, today on my Sharp Interactive board, I got Wes McCarter. Wes McCarter is the president of NextEra. He's been on the end of the day with Ray many times. But ladies and gentlemen, I got together with Wes and my friends over at ECI, and I said, is there any way that we could put a summit together to bring in some of the dealers? Because, folks, here's the reality. There's going to be plenty of opportunities presented to dealers, whether those dealers are small or whether those dealers are big. And depending on how you come out of those opportunities is going to depend on your data. It's going to depend on your ERP system. Do you have clean data? Do you have trash in your data? Don't you want to get the most value from your data? And that's what this summit's all about. So without any further ado, Wes, I'm super excited about the summit coming up. And I know we moved it to the end of July because it is in Phoenix and we want it to be a little bit cooler.
Yeah, we want everybody to enjoy a summer.
Well, you know, Wes, there's a lot of our friends that were Xerox agents that are now becoming full-line dealers, and they're taking on different products. And, you know, a lot of these folks didn't really have an ERP system. They were running stuff through QuickBooks, if you will. And, you know, now they have to really manage, and they need to be able to manage by the data. So I know you've been instrumental in helping a lot of these folks out, not only getting on eAutomate and making sure they set it up right, but also implementing the NextEra tool base. But I want to talk a little bit about the summit and why we decided to do this. And it was really based on some of the things you told me about all the horror stories that you were finding when you were doing these forensic audits with dealers. So let's touch base on some of that so our friends out there understand the importance of attending this thing.
Oh, thanks, Ray. You know, when we started doing these forensic audits, you know, NextEra has evolved into more of a professional services organization, and we've gained a tremendous amount of expertise in eAutomate. Mm-hmm. And through that expertise, we started doing these forensic audits where we're doing a deep dive into how the dealers have structured and set up ECI in eAutomate. Now, eAutomate's a phenomenally powerful platform, but it has to be all things to all people. And then when you do that, you create a tremendous amount of complexity that allows dealers to do a lot of different things. And some of them it's a necessity, and some of it is they just don't know what to do, and they just set it up based on what they think is the right way. And as we did these forensic audits, we uncovered tremendous amounts of opportunity for them to do it incorrectly and leave money on the table as a result. So part of the goal of this summit is to give dealers that overview of how to set eAutomate up in a way that gives them, number one, the best possible data. Number two, protects their revenue stream so they're getting 100% of what they are supposed to be billing. Get paid properly from the manufacturers so that they're reconciling and getting paid properly that way. And then learning and then feeding that data to our tools in order to make their service department the most profitable it can be.
Well, you know, Wes, here's the reality. And I said it as I opened up today's episode. You know, the opportunities will be presented to a lot of our dealer friends, obviously. And, you know, there's going to be a lot of predatory buying, if you will, out there. Looking for dealers that don't have accurate data, that have been sloppy a little bit in the past, and they're going to try to come in there and gobble you up for nothing. I know that, you know, if you think about our manufacturing friends, you know, I've talked a lot about this. There's going to be some consolidation that takes place. You know, dealers, do you want to start looking what the manufacturer might owe you after something drastic's happened, like maybe they canceled you or maybe they went away through a consolidation? Now's the time to straighten out your data. And Wes, just to be clear, so this summit we're putting on is really for the C-level. It's really for the proprietor of the dealership, because it's not about training you on ECI or NextEra's data. It's about showing you what the data can show you if it's set up right. So you can go back and make sure your teams are putting this data together in the right format. Because I think a lot of our dealer owners are kind of sitting on the sidelines and they're assuming their teams are doing everything well. And it's not, I don't think their teams are doing anything based on some kind of malice. They just might have set it up wrong in the very beginning. Can you just share one horror story that you might have, you know, helped the dealer out that can, maybe some of these folks can think, hey, that could be me?
Yeah, there's quite a few of them. Some of them are really related to the fact that a lot of our customers get paid by the manufacturers to service major accounts and specific dealer or specific customers, where the dealer is the service organization, but the manufacturer is the billing organization, right? And so oftentimes we find that because of the meter timing issue, primarily, the manufacturer is getting meters on one date, the dealer system is set up to get meters on another date. The manufacturer bills them based on one meter. The dealer system creates an accounts receivable for one amount based on one meter. The manufacturer pays it on a different account, different meter, and therefore the two don't match. So then their accounts receivable doesn't reconcile out because what they got paid isn't what the system was set up to bill. So that's a really common problem, which really creates a lot of issues when you're trying to close your end of month, because then you've got to go through potentially hundreds of invoices and correct them manually. So getting that set up properly is really critical. Second part of it is making sure you're getting paid for every serial number that you're supposed to get paid on, especially if you're doing a lot of manufacturer bills where the manufacturer is the billing organization. It's real easy for one to drop out of that and not notice it. So it's creating processes and procedures that go, how do we make sure that that never happens? And so we've been doing these forensic audits for a long time, and we have not found one customer yet that didn't have money left on the table. And as you said, it's not through some kind of nefarious problem. It's just that typically when they bought eAutomate, they got their organization trained, and then through potentially turnover, the next person got trained by the person that got trained by them. And so down the line, 2 or 3 people in, they've all been trained based on what that person thought was the right way to do it. And that may not have been the right way to do it. So it becomes almost a systemic problem that you can't even recognize unless you do it.
You know, a lot of the dealer owners, you know, a lot of these folks are high A personalities. A lot of them are sales mentality folks, and you know, they might not have the disciplines to start looking at details of a package. They're getting the results presented to them, and boy, you could be getting the wrong results presented to you for a long, long time. And it really, you know, it's something to really think about, especially with the manufacturers. You know, we see some manufacturers, you know, getting rid of some of the direct offices. I've talked about that a little bit, but you know, when that happens, how does that play in your marketplace? Do you have the right data if you're working with that manufacturer? I mean, there's so many things at stake here in our ever-changing environment. So, you know, Wes, I wanted to ask you really quick, you know, how is the data? Is the data coming back in the volumes? You know, we were 12 billion or something before this pandemic started. You know, where are we at today? Do we have any numbers?
It actually hasn't, it almost flatlined. So April to May stayed about the same. We're still about 50% of the volume we were at our peak. It didn't go down the previous months from January until April. It was going down and then kind of stabilized. So what that's kind of saying is that what's coming back has come back. We'll have to wait and see what happens when the schools start up again in the fall. As they bring more of the students back into the active school districts, will that bring some of that volume back up for those companies? And whether or not this experiment of work from home, how much of it sticks, we'll probably start seeing some of that later this fall, where the companies decide to start bringing employees back to the office or not.
Still, whether or not they print is a question. Ladies and gentlemen, the point of it is the opportunities presented to the Document Imaging Channel have never been more than they are right now. Some of those opportunities could be good for you. Some of those opportunities might challenge you in ways you never thought you would get challenged. But the reality of it is, if you don't have clean data, if your books aren't as clean as they possibly can be, predatory buyers might take advantage of you. Now's the time. Now's the time to look at your data. Now's the time for the Document Imaging Channel, all dealers, regardless of their size, to really understand the impact of clean, good data. Wes, is there anything you want to add? I'll throw the dates out there. What is it? The 26th of July is when we start. And basically, we're asking you all to fly in on Monday the 26th. We're going to meet all day Tuesday. We'll have a nice dinner. And then on Wednesday, we're going to meet till about noon, and then y'all can go back home. But folks, it's a day and a half. You really need to pay attention to what's available to help you change your business. And this summit is that. This summit is to help dealer owners understand the importance of their data so they can direct their teams to make sure they're getting the best from that data. Wes, is there anything you want to add before we end?
Well, I appreciate the time, Ray. Also, for those dealers that are on QuickBooks that are looking to transition to eAutomate, this will be a critical opportunity for them. Because if you've not set up eAutomate already, this will be amazingly valuable to get set up correctly the first time. For those of you that are already on eAutomate, this will be a great opportunity to learn how to go back and tweak it so that it gives you the best possible data. Because like you said, the valuation of the business is already based on that data. The cleaner it is, the more valuable you will be.
That's for damn sure. We got to have clean data. We can't not have clean data. It's almost at a point where it's totally irresponsible to not have good data, especially in our marketplace we're in today. Ladies and gentlemen, July 26th, Phoenix, the Marriott. I'm going to put a link to the registration page on this video. I look forward to seeing everybody there. I'll be there as well because, ladies and gentlemen, we all know this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and we'll see you all in July in Phoenix.